light again. May the sun bring you healing. May the moon light your way through the darkness. May love be the pathway for your tomorrow. The light in me honors the light in all of you. Namaste.
Yo, what it do? We back again. We back at it, man. You know who it is, the voice of the culture, man. It's the Roundtable Podcast. And today, on this early Saturday morning, we in Clifton in the Red Room Studios. And I'm sitting with the one and only, man, the Jen The Spiritual Baddie. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you, man, for having us come through. Stay tuned because we got something special with this conversation here. We're not only having a conversation, we're going to preview the yoga program that she's doing here in Clifton on Saturday mornings. But welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I appreciate the opportunity. I actually ran across you through another interview, the Wilder Juices. Shout out to her. I call her Lady Juices, the Queen of Juices. I appreciate you. And she talked about how this experience was so like out of body for her. So when she said that and you tapped in, I tapped right into you, and here we are today. So I appreciate the opportunity. But let's talk about Jen, Spiritual Baddie. Give us a small introduction of who you are and where did it all start from?
So, well, my name is Jen. I go by the Spiritual Baddie, but it's Jennifer.
Okay.
And I am a Yusui Reiki master teacher, yoga instructor, spiritual healer, and spiritual life coach. So I have many, many titles. I call myself a multifaceted spiritual healer. But the truth is, I have been spiritual my whole life. But after a huge, huge bout of depression, after having my second child, I needed change. And I needed to explore my options. And crazy enough, it was a white woman at work who started Reiki on me. And when I realized what that was, I said, wait a minute.
What is that, by the way?
We don't, like Hispanics, the black and browns don't know what that is. So that's where I was like, I need to learn this and teach my people.
Okay.
So Reiki is a life force healing energy that is done through the hands. All of us can heal our bodies. Think of when you were a child, you know, your mom, if you hurt your knee, your mom would put her hand there and it would just automatically feel better.
Right.
It's that motherly healing touch, but it is something that's universal. It comes from God.
You have to be in tune with yourself.
You have to be in tune with yourself. And actually the person you're giving it to must be open to receiving it. And so I place my hands on their emotional centers, which are the chakras. And as I place my hands in those areas, I'm sending in emotional healing, physical healing, mental healing, and spiritual healing. It reduces stress. It reduces anxiety. It complements if someone's going through chemotherapy. It complements the chemotherapy, the radiation. And so it's just a beautiful healing modality that I've learned. And like I said, I learned from a white woman who did it on me. And then I was like, I got to learn this and teach my people because we didn't know this.
Right.
And I started to build my community like that.
Okay.
And I incorporated into my yoga, which is at the end, you saw I was pressing my hands onto their crown chakra and then pressing into their shoulders, sending in that Reiki healing.
Now, I have a question about that because you brought that up, so we'll jump into that. We're going to ping pong a little bit. But the healing, you as an individual, you have to be in a space. You can't
absolutely
be everywhere. Your emotions, your mental, because people that's watching it may say, well, what about if you're going through something? What about if you're having a bad morning?
Oh, yeah, I'm human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How does that, how do you put yourself in the place of, okay, whatever I'm dealing with, let me.
Yeah. So it's so funny because today's class was about the sacred pause. I take pauses. When I am not able to physically give to my people, I need to take a break and heal myself.
Okay.
And so I don't do that often because a lot of times as a healer, you're receiving healing as you're healing them. So the way, specifically Reiki, the way it works is it moves through you, out your hands and into them. So as I'm healing them, it's healing me.
Okay.
And then at the end of the session, I always go and I wash my hands or I do whatever I need to disconnect from their energy.
Okay.
Because energy is heavy.
Yes.
And I feel like energy is more contagious than like the common cold, because you walk into a room and someone's got a nasty attitude, you can feel it right away.
Right.
Versus when someone has a cold, they could be hiding it. You
Right.
walk into a room, you don't know who has a cold or not.
Especially during COVID when everybody was
Right.
scared to cough.
Right.
A lot of people like,
Right.
but no one knew if you had the cough or not.
You don't know.
Okay.
So I feel like energy, you can always feel it immediately when you walk into a room. But yes, as a human, I do take breaks. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have 2 boys, and I have to make sure I'm good for them too.
Right.
So most of my work is done after I'm done for the day with them.
Okay.
And then on the weekends, I'm usually done with yoga by 8:30. I'm home, and then the weekends are for them. They're dedicated to them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long you been in this? How long you been doing this?
So this is year 4. I started at the end of 2020. So the end of this year will be year 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you have to go to, I'm asking these questions because I don't know. How do you get certified or ordained or, you know what I mean?
So as far as Yasui Reiki, it is done through your master. So you have to find a master teacher.
Okay.
And then that's a 2 to 3 day certification for level 1 and 2. And then you have to wait 6 months before you can get attuned to level 3 and 4, which is the master course.
Right.
But it requires more than that. So yes, you're learning the information, but you have to be ready because it is a lot of work. So after I learned 1 and 2, I was able to do Reiki on myself, and I could do it onto others, but it just almost didn't feel right.
Okay.
And I just kept working on myself, and my Reiki master said, you have to meditate. You have to meditate. You have to make sure you're eating properly because what you put into your body matters. So I started eating intentionally, mindful of what I was eating and putting into my body. I started exercising.
Right.
And then I started meditating. So like 6 o'clock, I'm up every day at 6. I'm not up as early as you. I am up at 6 a.m. and I do about 10 to 15 minutes of self-Reiki and meditation. I also do body taps. So I'm tapping my body to wake it up. And then I get my kids up, get them all ready. And then once they're at school, I'm at the gym for an hour. And then my day starts at 11. And then it pauses once my kids come home. Once the stuff is done with them, I turn back on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you basically have everything in the schedule fit?
I do.
Okay, that makes sense because at the end of the day, what you're doing, and I'm going to speak, some people may say you're playing with people's emotions, feelings, and their lives.
Yeah.
And they may say you might be playing with God.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yep.
Let's talk about that. I mean, are you a spiritual woman?
So I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
Heavy in the Catholic. I was even an altar server. Like I was heavy in the church.
But your nationality is, right?
I'm Puerto Rican.
Okay.
So yeah, and I grew up in the Bronx. So it was, you go to Catholic church every Sunday. I went to Catholic school.
Exactly.
Until 7th grade. And then we moved to Jersey and we tried out a Christian church because that was what was nearby. And it felt, after doing all the sacraments and changing churches, it felt like the church organization was instilling fear. It was programming me to be scared instead of curious.
Scared of God?
Scared of mistakes. And I feel like we're human. We should be allowed to make mistakes. We should be allowed to be inspired by what someone's doing and try to do it for ourselves. I feel like it just replaced, at that time in my life, it replaced my curiosity of life with fear. And it completely made my inspirations and all the things that I wanted to do, it turned that into judgment. I felt like I was being judged. I felt like I was being criticized for wanting this larger than life.
Right.
And I got very angry. I was very angry. I think I was angry all throughout my 20s with the church.
Wow.
And, but I read the Bible and I always talk about that Jesus is the original OG because Jesus was in the streets. He wasn't judging. Jesus was with the prostitutes. He was with the poor. He was with the sick.
He was in the slums.
He wasn't on a pulpit talking down and criticizing people and you have to do this or else you're going to hell. No, Jesus was in the streets. He was in the streets taking care of his people, practicing kindness and compassion and love.
And giving.
You don't get that. I feel like, and this is not every church. I feel like I didn't receive that. I received a lot of criticism, a lot of judgment from the churches I attended.
Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all.
Because it's funny that you said what you said, because I watched that happen. I grew up in a household. I went to church on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, 2 churches on Sunday. My parents were the head deacons. Very large church. I'm not going to put the church out, mega church. My father went through somewhat of the same situation you did. Everybody starts to program themselves on what the pastor said. Pastor said you can't.
Right.
Pastor said. But we're not programmed on what the word of God is saying. And we get so caught up and people start to beat you on that and it takes you away from you wanting to really, well, what is really going on with God? Because all I keep hearing is you can't.
Right.
And I believe you had a moment of growth. I believe it was supposed to happen that way because I watched my father step away, but not step away from the Lord.
Yeah.
It's a difference.
That's
you
the
can
one
step
thing.
away from you can step away from the congregation.
Yep.
But you don't step away from, and then he opened up his horizon and now it's multiple things he's reading and studying. Because in certain churches, we're going to say certain, all they do is,
Right.
You can't, you're not supposed to,
Right.
It's no good for you.
And it's fear mongering is what it is. And it's like, how am I supposed to live a life of inner peace and happiness
and enjoy it
when I can't and I can't and I can't and I can't? It's like, that's not fair. And if you read specifically, I like Luke. So
okay.
I do like the Gospels of Luke. And Luke talks about how free it was, how Jesus was free loving, free kindness, free compassion. There was never, you can't. It was like, why are you worried about what someone can and can't do? Worry about yourself, or show them compassion. But when you're hearing you can't or you shouldn't, all you're thinking is, I'm going to go to hell if I do these things. Jesus taught me that God loves me no matter what.
Exactly.
So if I make mistakes, that's okay. I could dust myself and try again.
That's what God is. He's the most loving, forgiving God. That's what makes him the creator. That's what makes him everything, because he knows. He gave us the free will to make these mistakes. Because at the end of the day, he could have said, hey, I just want y'all to go do this. No, mistakes are supposed to happen for growth. So in the spiritual aspect and in the Christianity and all other religions, we have to realize, and I'm saying this to the camera, let's stop being so disciplined and let's spread the word and the gospel, because what you're doing, people may say you're playing with God, you're doing this, but I feel like, no, this is your part of your walk with him. Yeah,
it feels like my purpose. And as I walk in my purpose, I'm not tired. I'm the most alive.
You're never weary.
I'm
I always
the
see your
most
energy.
alive I've ever felt in my life.
I see your energy. It's like you're live, you're together. It's no, what I can say, it's nothing fake about it. When I was paying attention to you, I said, her energy is a blessing. It gives love. Because it's 2 things that own the world. And I said this last week, love and fear.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, and it's no black and white. It's either love or it's either fear. Now, what are we going to do? Of course, we deal with fear at times because we're human.
Right.
But I always say this to everybody. God wasn't a fearing God. He's a loving God. So when people say, I feel nothing but God, then how could you fear something that's love?
How can you fear something that's loving you so much, that's allowing you to breathe?
Unconditionally.
To live this life, right? To give you the abundance.
All your mistakes and trials and tribulations, free, and accepting you to come back when you might do the most heinous shit.
So, I mean, it's the fear mongering of what people were programmed. And so a lot of what I do too is the reprogramming of what we were taught.
Right.
Because a lot of that too is what's embedded in us as children.
Exactly.
And so
let's not be clear, not to cut you off. We're not blaming our family.
Yeah.
Because they don't know sometimes.
No, they don't.
It's just generation after generation.
I talk about my mom all the time and the trials and tribulations and the choppy situation that I have with my mother, even now to this day. But I think I've come to terms in my adulthood and now as a mother with the fact that just as she was still learning and growing, I'm still learning and I'm still growing. Yeah. And that doesn't stop. It keeps going because every day when my kids come home from school, they tell me something outlandish. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to deal with that, but we'll figure it out. Let's walk this walk together. And I think that our parents were just going based off of what they knew. Tradition. Yeah. It was a bop, 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 bop. Yeah, and whatever it was that they learned.
You can't step outside of that. We're not doing that. You're going to hell. How dare you?
Right. So, I feel like this generation is here to break those generational curses, the traditional ways, because that doesn't work for us anymore. We're not those people from back then.
Exactly. We're not our ancestors.
People. Right.
We're not. It's a different time. It's a different day. And I'm glad you touched on that because how did your family receive the fact that you kind of went to another lane?
My mom doesn't like it at all. Okay. But she's,
listen, you're your own woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we love you, Ma. We respect it. Don't want anybody to get offended, but we have to be our own butterflies.
So for my mom, it was more like you have to work an actual job. You can't just be out here trying to heal people. You have to work because I think for her, it was more that I left a 6-figure business. I had working a really good job and I left that to do this.
Nah, do you really think I believe that might be.
I think that's my mom's biggest issue.
Right. You walked away from stability to go on a mission.
Right.
Let's say that.
Yeah. And my dad has always been very my dad's the coolest. He's like, whatever makes you happy, Jen. Whatever you do that makes you happy, I don't care. I just want you to be happy.
Does that bring you balance though?
It does bring me balance. Okay. And it's very weird that it's on the opposite ends, that I'm getting the do whatever you want, it's okay from my dad, versus you shouldn't have done that. Are you crazy? She used other words. But it's like, go back to work. You were making such good money. You have a house, you have a family. What were you thinking? And I just was like, I'm doing okay. Everything's okay.
How does your husband feel about that?
My husband is so supportive.
Right.
He is so supportive. He doesn't practice any of the things that I practice. He will take Reiki when he's not feeling well, but it's not that he's doing any of these events with me. However, or anything with me. If I have events, he's the one who helps me set up.
He's supportive in his way.
Yeah, he's the one who cooks all the food. He's such a good cook. He'll drive me around to pick up all the things. He's great.
He's supportive. He plays his part. He doesn't always want to be in front of the camera. He allowed you to be the queen and the captain of your boat because it is your boat and he's playing for the ride. And I respect him for that because a lot of men out here may not want to support that if they're not involved. Oh, I'm not doing that. That's your shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's our thing together.
It's our thing together.
And that's what makes it more, and it also brings more peace to you at home. Now, how do kids feel about mom being a spiritual baddie?
So I have 2 boys, one's 7, one's 11. My 7-year-old is way more woke than my 11. And so I do sound healings with the singing bowls.
He might be more curious.
And he'll sit with me and he'll put his hands to his chest. He's the one that always goes to church. So if we go to church on the days that we go, he's the one that's actually praying. At night, he asks for me to pray over him, where my 11-year-old right now is like, yeah, whatever. My mom does Reiki.
Yeah, he might be just coming. He's just coming of age. You know how that goes. He's just coming of age. During your journey, has it ever been a time where you questioned what you were doing? Like, hold up, am I in the right lane? Am I in the right space?
It's so crazy that I'm going to say this, but no.
It's not crazy. It's your reality.
Yeah. It's never been I shouldn't be doing this or I'm crazy for doing this. It's always been how can I get better? Yeah.
Now, we talked about the masters. I want to ask you something because I'm not, like I said, I'm not familiar. I'm not whoever may be watching. If you are, that's dope, but I'm not. So I'm going to ask some questions. How do you know that the master is really official?
So their credentials.
Okay.
You go based off the credentials. I'm big on energy though. And so I went to 4 different schools of Reiki before I actually signed on with the first lady, with the lady that's my Reiki master now. And everyone just felt very whitewashed. And this woman, yes, she's white, but she's from South Africa, and she just had a whole different energy. I felt like love. When I walked in, I felt love. I almost felt like I was being embraced by my mother when I walked into her room.
Wow.
And so I said, I have a lot of questions. Like, I don't want to, this is something that I want to actually do. And I don't want to, I want all of the information. I want the whole thing. And she was like, all right, I'm going to be real honest with you. She was like, I can give you all 4 levels and you can learn right away and take and do whatever you want, or you can do the real work. And she was like, that means I'll give you level 1 and 2 now, which is, so level 1 is Shoka Ray. It's the power. It's the power of having the Reiki life force energy.
That's the very first level.
That's the very first level. And that you get attuned, so I can literally send into your chakras. I could send into myself. Level 2 is where you go into the mental and emotional aspects of it. Level 3 is where there is no space and time and energy. So I can send in healing to past traumas, specifically for people who have deep trauma that they don't remember. I can send in that 3rd level, and it goes directly into that space and time to heal you.
Wow.
So what it does is it brings up all of those traumas to the surface. It makes you remember, but it makes you remember so that you can face them and heal them. And then level 4 is my ability to heal healers.
Okay.
So it's a lot of practice. She was like, I could teach you all of this. You can pay the big bucks. It could be in a month, you're done. She's like, but if you want to do the real work, the work that I do, she was like, this is a year-long process. I'll give you 1 and 2, and then I want you to work on yourself. And that's what I did. I needed to heal. I went through severe postpartum after my second. I felt like I had lost myself, who I was prior to my kids. My body wasn't the same. For my second child, I gained 90 pounds. Wow. So when I gave birth to him, I wasn't the same.
Right.
I was sluggish. I was tired, but more importantly, I was depressed.
Okay.
And I thought that it was my job. And so I quit that job and went to another job. And then I was miserable there. And I quit that job and went to another job. And I thought I needed more money. I needed to do more at work. I needed to work harder. And that wasn't it. It was that I needed to work on myself.
So you wasn't at a peace of mind.
I was a mess. Once I started to do the work, and I was working full time and doing this inner work, so working on myself, learning the practice, doing all of the things. So it was very busy. I had told my husband, I'm dedicating this to me.
Okay.
I need to get back to me. And once I started to do the practice, is what I call it, the things that I do now to get through my day, I started to feel better. But the job always made me miserable. So I was like, it's not the job. It's that I'm not supposed to be doing that.
You understood your calling.
Yeah. And then after I realized
some people may say it was midlife crisis. You're just going through midlife crisis. You had 2 kids.
Right.
You're tripping.
And I could have been. But it's funny too, because you get that scarcity mindset, the mindset of, oh my God, what am I doing? I swear that
Women go through that?
Yes. Powerful women who, I love my husband, so shout out to my husband, but I was the breadwinner in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, I was now he's the breadwinner, but in the beginning of our relationship, I was the one bringing in 6 figures. I was the one paying all the household bills and until he got on his feet.
Right.
Because I knew that it was going to take him some time. For me, I was already in the business that I was in at the time. So I feel like when your mind's already set, like I have to take care of my home, even though now your husband's doing it, there is that scarcity. There is what if I don't bring in the same amount of money? How are we gonna, do this? And when I removed myself from the corporate America, I left it to God. That
was what I was going to follow up with. That was God. And I need everybody to understand, as we sit here and we talk, as I'm listening to you, Jen, I'm really honest. this is all God's doing. And I need people to really understand, you have to pay attention and be aware of what he's sending you and be on tune. I'm not saying you have to be this super Christian or any other religion, but you have to be aware of who you are so you can get what's sent to you. Your journey from everything that you went through to as we sit here today, I'm just thinking about like, wow, that was all steps that God had for you to go through. You being the breadwinner in the beginning. You being oh my God, what am I going to add? Shoulda, coulda. And he more or less said, just like, and we're going to go back to the word. When Jesus told the young man, yo, go ahead and come to me when he was in the water. Walk. He said, Lord, he got nervous and started drowning. That was you. He said, Jen, come to me.
Yeah.
And that's why it says you walk by faith and not by sight.
Right.
So for you being that courageous to say, you know what, I know I have a calling. And you trusted in your higher power and your calling, and you're here now, and you're more happier than you ever been, because I sense that as we have this conversation, that joy, that peace, that energy. And you know what? Nowadays, a lot of, and I tell my friends this, vampires that's just sucking energy out of us.
Oh, yeah.
Daytime vampires. I call them energy vampires.
They are energy.
They just love to suck the juice out of you.
They are just poking holes in your boat.
And they know, if you really notice, and I know you've been around, they only poke at those that's powerful.
Yeah.
Might look at maybe a certain girlfriend, a certain individual. I don't want to talk to her because I don't want to hear that today. It's never.
But that's why boundaries are important. Like you got to say, nah, I can't. But that takes time, because some people don't want to, that she's been there for me and judgmental. You think you all that, you don't want to talk to me. I had to cut off friends, and it sucks, but it's like, okay, you're draining my energy and I can only do so much. If you keep complaining, all you're doing is manifesting the same thing over and over again. You're still repeating those same toxic cycles. When you're ready to change, I'll be here.
Right.
When you're ready to really go on the right path, I'll be here. I love you and I send you off with love, but I can't have you poking holes in my boat, because it's just me, and like, yes, I'm walking with God, but this is what I've built was just me. And this is my journey, and I can't drown with you. I can only grab your hand and take you with me. But if you are pulling the opposite way, if there's resistance, what are we doing?
Wasting time.
We're going nowhere.
And you're trying to pull me back.
Yeah,
you're
we're
really
going nowhere. And I'm not going back that way. I lived that life.
We released all that.
Yeah, I lived the life of the partying. I lived the life of, honestly, I partied. I did drugs. I did a lot of alcohol. I still have a drink every now and again.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Right. In moderation.
Right.
But I was a party girl. I was in the clubs. So before I got into my corporate, I was in a past life, I was a bartender.
Okay.
So I partied Monday through Sunday. It was nonstop. And we would go to after hours and we'd go on to parties on days off. And it was like, I know what that's like.
Right.
I lived that life. I know that didn't bring me joy.
It's really an escape. People use that as an escape from what they're dealing with.
The pain that I was going through.
With a group of individuals
that are doing the same thing. And it becomes super toxic and draining. I was aging before my time. You know, I felt like, it's crazy. I'm 42 now, I'll be 43 this year. And I feel like I'm in my 20s versus when I was in my 20s, I felt older. I would wake up groggy. Now I get up early. I'm like,
because you've been running all night, consuming drugs, alcohol, eating bullshit.
And I just, as cute as it looks in the pictures, as fun as it is in the moment, the next morning.
The reality is different.
When you wake up that next morning in your hangover, in your grogginess, in your depression, instead of facing it, you take another shot.
Or you get the phone call, girl, what we doing?
What we doing tonight? Where are we going?
Where's it at?
And so I love my girls, but some of them are still living that party life.
And you're not that person.
And I'm not. So I had to disconnect. I had to cut that cord because they were draining my energy. And like I said, it was a resistance. They were pulling me this way. I'm running that way. And we just couldn't do it. And so that's the boundaries that I created. And it's unfortunate, it breaks my heart, but I send out love because I know, and I say this with
Confidence?
With every bone in my body, I know that at one point they're going to say, I need to change. Let me go to Jen.
Right.
Because Jen's not going to close the door on me. God would never close the door on me. Why would I close the door on somebody else?
Exactly.
Jesus would never. Jesus would be like, come on,
embraced
let's
everybody.
go.
Come on, let's go.
And so that's what I'm going to continue to do. And this is the journey. And this is my purpose. Because God would not have opened all the doors that he's opened for me if this wasn't the right journey.
Exactly.
All of these doors would have been closed. I would have never had these opportunities, or even this opportunity right here, right now to share my message. And so I feel real good in it. And I surrender to God and I trust his way.
And I respect that and I admire that about you. And that's why I'm here with you today, because your journey is something that a lot of people don't really get a chance to express or tell, because people want to live in the dark, or they want, especially now social media, they want to live in a fantasy, but we're dealing with reality. And I felt like this was a reality. What you're doing is reality. It may not be everybody's reality, but in reality, it is reality. If it makes sense to you guys, because some people stray away from church because they're getting beat in the head. This is not a church environment. It's a spiritual environment. It's a love environment, but it's the same thing. It's a sanctuary of love, peace, energy. We're not bringing no negativity. We go to church, you don't bring no negativity. Everybody gets cleaned up, gets brand new. Right. You can have a rough night, but on Sunday, let me clean up, let me get new. Right,
which your Sunday's best.
Right, and this is the same place. So This is your church.
This is my church. Yeah.
So let's talk about this woman empowerment movement that you're on, the Notorious Women.
It's the Notorious Women event. It's tomorrow.
Yes.
And so me and a friend, she's a business life coach and a confidence coach. Her and I have collaborated. Her name is Josie Maldonado, so shout her out.
Right.
Her and I have collaborated to bring women together for inspiration. A lot of times, especially in this community, you'll find that people don't know the difference between inspiration and competition. And so a lot of times women are competing against each other instead of saying, you inspire me. I love what you do. Let's do something together. It's more like, I like that she did that, but I could do it better. So let me try.
And let me figure out a way to outdo.
Right.
Let's grow together.
Right. So me and Josie have joined forces to put this huge event together.
We got some amazing women coming.
We got some really, really amazing, notorious women coming to speak. It's a sold out event.
Where's it located?
It is located at Merced Manor, which is in Ringwood, New Jersey. Okay. So the location, we're calling it a day retreat. You're literally driving up the woods, up the mountains to get to the location. And
before you go any further, what made you, because I know everything has a reason, what made you pick the location? Because I'm quite sure you looked at multiple venues.
Yeah, so to be very honest, we happen to know the woman who owns the location.
Okay.
Everything for this event is by women. The food, all of the things that are going inside the swag bag, the location is woman owned, the speakers are women, the photographers that we have coming in to do the social media content, all of it is women. We were very specific about everything needed to be woman owned, being that it's International Women's Month.
Exactly.
And also understanding that collaborations like this make the world go round. Right. We are stronger together. And I think that when people start to see that when you feel jealousy or competitiveness towards someone, there's a reflection of you in that person that you need to heal. There's something in that person that you need to heal within you, because I just don't like anybody, or somebody makes me feel inferior. There's something there that you need to heal, because we should all be feeling love when we're with each other. It should never be jealousy or greed or competition or any of that.
Or race. Because I feel like it's also bringing races together too.
Yeah.
Nationalities, understanding the different cultures. So that's amazing. Is this your first event that you enjoyed?
I've done a couple, but this is my first collaborative event, and I'm really excited. It's a really big deal.
Shout out to your photo shoot. It was fire.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean? Y'all killed it. You know what I mean? I love the fact that what you bring to the table with everything that you're doing with women is so much, honestly, and I'm probably gonna say this 20 more times, your passion, you know, that I'm big on passion because passion means everything. If someone's not passionate, why would I get involved with you?
Right.
Why would I sit down to you? Why would I want to even hear anything you got to tell me?
Yeah, I'm not buying from someone who doesn't.
Why would I even want to come to a session if when I had a conversation with you, your energy on the phone was dead? You know what I mean? And that's very important. People fail to realize conversation is important. So that's why when we conversated, I felt your energy on the phone. I said, okay. Some people talk this talk, but I felt it.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, the energy level, what time does it start?
That's from 11 to 4. We have a VIP hour. So anyone who bought like VIP tickets, they're going to get a sound healing session. They're going to get a personal masseuse to give them a massage.
Okay.
It's a chair massage. Our swag bags, so what we're giving to the VIP is not like little tiny things. They're going to be big samples. And then from 12 to 4, we'll have lunch. We have a catered lunch. All of the speakers are coming on. And then I'm going to close out with some movement, some affirmations, and a guided meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. But it is going to be amazing. It's also a networking event.
Right.
So we fill that room and we're going to do things where you're not just handing your business card to someone. No, you're going to have conversations with these people so that those conversations build into something outside of this event. And that's what was most important to me and my partner. I was like, let's figure out how to get these women to build empires outside of this. And so hopefully it'll be a yearly thing.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
We're going to speak that into existence. My question to you is, the ladies that you have on the panel that's going to be speaking, each one of them have their own different career and path. Mm-hmm. What made you choose those certain women?
Okay. So let's start with Leanne. She has, her podcast is called Watch Us Thrive. She's a domestic violence survivor. Okay. She almost was killed by her ex. And her story is not only earth-shattering, but the come up after, where she thought she lost everything. And so, like I say, the come up after, it's about bringing that inspiration and letting other domestic violence survivors know that they're not alone in their journey.
Building that community.
So that was for specific for that. We have Delilah.
One question.
Yeah.
And it's going to go back to the young lady you were talking about with the domestic violence thing. You know, growing up, it was very big. In my era growing up, I saw they don't really talk about that no more. So for you to have a speaker, I salute that, because you don't really hear people talking about domestic violence anymore.
No.
And it's like, I pray that's not going on, but reality is reality.
Yeah.
It's these closed walls and no one really.
It's because, I don't want to say it's been silenced, but
I feel like it has been silenced.
It's more that it's become the norm. And it's sad, but you hear more about, it's more. Wow. So it was important, because I would say, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I'd say about 70% of women have had some type of altercation with their partner. Right. I'd say and that sounds like a big number.
And not just physically, but verbally.
Verbal abuse
is just as worse as physical.
It's bad, because verbal abuse
sits with you
forever. That scar that you get goes away. You put some creams on it, a couple months later, there's no scar there.
Makeup is gone.
Right. How you speak to someone stays with them forever. And it doesn't matter how much healing they do based off of the things that was said, that stays in that, what I call the root chakra. And you're constantly, when you hear those words, you're going to be triggered into fight or flight. There's no way to undo that.
Well, you're a woman, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to shout out to her for having her, because when you said that, I had to ask, because I don't hear that no more.
Yeah.
And if it's the opportunity presents itself, I would love to have her on the show so she can talk.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I definitely will.
Because I like to touch that, because I feel like it's been silent.
Yeah.
And let's go to the next speaker.
The next speaker we have is, Farida is the owner of the location. Okay. And so we thought it would be great to have her on. She was also a corporate America. She worked for all the huge makeup companies like L'Oreal,
Okay.
higher ranking, like great position. And then she decided to leave all of that to make time for her family. And so now she's done investments in properties. And I think that's her livelihood, that she gets to spend time with her kids and her husband while still owning property and bringing in money. That's important. We don't understand, and I say this, the Black and brown community doesn't understand how important it is for us to set up some stable financial income. It's an income that's coming in without you having to work. And so she's going to teach that.
Wow.
You know, love that. Plus
that.
she, on top of all of her businesses and stuff that she's got going on, she's got that location that we're hosting the event. It's incredible. Like, the space is incredible. The next one is Talk to Tosh. She's a celebrity intuitive reader.
I saw that.
Yeah, and she's great. So when you meet her, when you're like in the room with her, she'll just come over to you and say, hey, be careful, like your dad is sick. There's something wrong with his kidneys and blah, blah, blah. But she tells you, I don't read tarot. We say a prayer together. Her gifts are from God, and she speaks of the Lord all the time. But she does say, you know, I don't call myself a psychic. For me, I've had these gifts since I was 6 years old. And she's amazing. Like, when she walked me through that prayer before she read me, I was like moved just by the prayer alone. And a lot of the things that she talks about is what's going on in your life. How do you, it's not like low vibrational, like, oh, your man is cheating or anything like that.
I went to her page and I saw everybody that you have. I went to their page.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So it was, and you know, it was unique.
Yeah. So she's
not doing the drama. She's doing the trauma.
Yeah.
It's a difference.
Yep.
Trauma and drama is two different things. So
she's great. We love Tosh. And then I have Delaney. Delaney is also a mom entrepreneur who's also a model.
Okay. And
her thing is that she puts really cute, cheap outfits together to go out, but also to, again, spend time with her children. So it's about doing less and having more, you know, and so that's going to be her story. And she's based out of Jersey City, so we did keep it kind of local too. Okay. So Delilah, her story is pretty crazy, but what she does is she builds a community of women, and she does one night at a club with a DJ, all women inside, all women DJs and stuff like that. And so she throws these huge women-only parties so that women can actually go and dance and be free without feeling the need to. It's so sad that I have to say this, but sometimes, you know, you go, I don't know about now because I haven't been to a club in a long time, but you have to, you know, take care of yourself or make sure that someone's not grabbing your ass or, you know, pulling on you, or you're being harassed by someone who thinks you're really pretty. Give me your number, and let's, you know, so.
A free night of enjoyment.
It's just a night for you to just be
Let go.
free.
And it's women.
And she does that. And I have not been yet, but I've heard that it gets packed, like club packed full of women. So she's inspiring women in that way to be free. And so that's her business. Yeah, so who did I miss? Who am I missing? Delilah, Delaney, Farida, Leanne, and Tosh. I said them all. And then Josie's my partner. She does Fierce Femme Tribe. So she has a community of women as well. And she teaches confidence coaching, business coaching. She was a event planner for 14 years prior to becoming. Okay. So she teaches all the ins and outs of like really being strategic with your business. But she comes up so authentically and so real and raw and confident that when you walk into a room and you don't know her, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of energy. But it's because she's unapologetic.
And she's confident.
And I respect that. Like when you walk into a room, like I'm not the type to feel like, oh, she's too much or she's giving too much or what. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, let's have a conversation because I like what you're doing. I like how you're coming up. And then I feel like I'm bringing it all to a close with my spirituality,
Right.
you know, and my story too, everything that is going to unfold, you know. So when I think of all the things that these women bring, I feel like I carry a lot of them. So like for Leanne, I'm also a domestic violence survivor.
Okay.
You know, I've also been sexually assaulted and I've survived that, you
Right.
know. I'm an intuitive just like Tosh. So I just didn't hone in the way that she did. And so I'm learning from her to open up in prayer. I think it's so beautiful. That moved me to tears when she did that. I still enjoy the partying. So why not be free and still do
Right.
that with my women? And then I look at Delaney and I'm like, she's such an inspiration with her cute little fits. And it doesn't have to be expensive. We can be frugal and still be beautiful.
Exactly.
And so I just
feel like y'all get away with that anyway. I'm just gonna, come on. I mean, sundresses at $10. We can't, you know what I mean? And then y'all, every time we see you got a white t-shirt on it. Yo, you got a sundress on.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Y'all get away with that anyway.
So I feel like I have a little bit of all of the things. And
I feel like each one of y'all are part of each other though.
Yeah.
And that makes y'all, you know, a strong army. I don't know if anybody, I'm showing my age, but it reminds me of a show when I was a kid growing up called Voltron, where everybody comes together and they form this big alliance.
I feel like I might have gotten the tail end of that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You got the Power Rangers in, I got the Voltron. I'm telling my age, I'm 49, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, the reason why I asked you why you bring these multiple women together, because when you posted it, I did my homework and I watched. And I said, wow, you know, all these women have a different aspect, but it makes the puzzle complete for the event. So I looked at it as a puzzle. I was putting everything.
I like that.
You know what I mean? And then the picture was like all powerful, different, strong women. And I sensed that. And I admire that because it also takes me back to my mother. And she's old school, God bless her. And she's no longer with us, but she was a strong woman. She was the woman that went out and helped my dad shovel the snow. She was the woman that got off work and helped my dad go do the cleaning business when my dad decided to retire and start the cleaning business. Like that support system. And now with the way things are with social media, it's like everybody's so caught up in this, I'm not doing this, I'm not this, It's no unity, it's no love. Yeah. It's more materialistic, more what can you do, what can you have, right. What can you bring, instead of where can we grow.
Right, but that's the instant gratification that we're seeing online.
The microwave.
Yeah.
Put mine in the oven.
Right.
Let it cook a little bit.
I want mine to cook too.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So when I saw it, it was amazing. And it made me smile because I have daughters. You know, I have one graduating, shout out to you, graduating Destiny this year, graduating college, and watching my daughters grow and expand to be the women that they want to be and be free and not get caught up in the society. You know, shout out to Mariah and Baby Goat. I got to say all three because if you say one, they're going to be, oh, right. Dad, you didn't shout me out. Right. But that's the reality. I'm watching them grow, and they're young women now. And I want them to be inspired, not what they see, but be inspired by what's around them.
Right.
That can teach them and elevate them. They have great mothers as well, so their mother's doing a great job. Now, as we talk a little bit more about you, I want to ask you this. Where you see yourself in 10 years? I'm going to say 5.
So 5 years. I don't know about 10 just yet, but 5 years.
That's why I said 5.
Yeah.
We can see 5. 10.
I can see 5. I would say in 5 years, I have my own space.
Okay.
It would consist of a storefront for all spiritual needs, like the sage bundles, the incense, that sort of stuff.
What about the beads and all that?
So I do waist beads.
Do you bless the beads as well?
I bless them with anything that you get from me is supercharged with Reiki energy.
Okay.
So it would be a storefront, the way I see it.
Do you have a website now?
I have a website now.
Please let the people know the website. I didn't even know that.
It's the Spiritual Baddie Boutique.company.site.
Okay.
Spiritual Baddie Boutique.company.site.
So what about if I bought beads and brought them to you?
So now anything that you purchase, you can bring to me and I will bless. Now, when you say beads, I'm not sure if you're talking about the collares that go over the neck.
Yes.
That I don't do. That is a specific religion. What I do is any crystal beads, waist beads that go around the waist. And that works for different things. Like all of the different colors mean different things. and healing bracelets, but I work with crystal healing energy.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
so the beads are different.
Okay. I didn't know that, so excuse me.
And so that's, it's a practice called Santeria,
Right.
which I totally respect, but I don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So you want to get the storefront, you want to have the studio.
Yeah, I want to have the storefront. In the back, I would love to have a yoga room. Big like this, big enough for me to not only have yoga, but to also host events.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to throw some words at you. I just want you to, in your own definition, your own wordplay. Family.
Forever.
Okay. Love.
Forever.
Now here's the tricky one. Wasted energy.
No time's wasted.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked you that, because I had a conversation with somebody and they was like, yo, you got to stop wasting all your energy and this, that, and the third. And I had to tell them that I don't feel like you waste energy. I feel like it's a learn.
Yeah.
You just learn from the situation,
Right.
not to go backwards. Like, why is you wasting energy? If that's the case, you can have a bad relationship. That didn't stop you from having another relationship.
Right.
So that's why I asked you, being spiritual, where was your mind at?
We're not wasting energy or time. We're learning. And what happens is if we don't learn from the experiences, we don't learn the lessons, we keep repeating them in different forms until we do. You know, and so it's just about the quicker you get through that, I guess the easier life becomes, or the more peaceful life becomes, is the best way to say it. But why would we be wasting energy or time? Life is precious.
I mean, people
Every
fail to
moment
realize
counts.
that though, Jen. Everybody, I'm just over here wasting time. I mean, it's times I've said it.
Right, when you're on a line at a supermarket waiting to purchase your groceries.
But not experiences.
So my thing is, if you feel like you're wasting time while you're doing that, right?
Right.
Why don't you look around? People watch. See what other people are doing.
Mm.
You know, you might see sadness in someone. And just for a second, just close your eyes down and say, I send them love. You could see someone down in their phone, not being mindful of the moment. You know, these are things that I practice now.
Okay.
I do get annoyed when I'm human. I'm annoyed.
Exactly.
The line is long. What am I going to do? Well, I can't control how fast the line moves. I can't control traffic. What I can control is where my mind goes and how I react to things. So let me just throw in a little dabs of love here and mindfulness here. You know, let me be reflective. I look at people and I'm like, I wonder if they're at a point in their lives where they're so unhappy that they're desperately seeking change. And I energetically just send in whatever healing.
Wow. That's powerful, because that's energy. So let me ask you this, because I read a scripture every day and I read a quote every day. It says, thoughts are powerful. Remember to remember and stay aware.
I like that.
And I read it every day. And I find myself sometimes at work when my mind may wander off on some bullshit. I always say, remember to remember and stay aware. I don't want to keep consuming negative thoughts in idle time, because that's when the devil works, idle time. I want my mind to always stay at a positive or at least a level of peace. So I say that every day. Actually, I read that every day, and I find myself at work telling myself that. So I got a word for you called peace. Is peace within yourself or within others? Because some people find peace within others. I find peace within myself.
Yeah.
And I ask the Lord to thank you for the peace of mind that you've given me and guided me with. But I was struggling with also watching close friends deal with having peace from other people.
But that doesn't make sense to me. That's not real peace. That's going to be short-lived. If it's not your inner peace, it's short-lived. So you can only be happy for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And that's it.
Okay. So
the inner peace that's long-lasting is the one within you.
Right.
You can't find happiness, peace, or tranquility outside of yourself.
But you have to find yourself first.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not, they're still searching.
Yeah.
So they're down there searching instead of searching right here,
right.
where it's right at. How could you build a home down the street when your foundation is here?
It's a tough thing to teach people, and I could tell people till they're blue in the face. Everything that you're searching outside of you does not belong to you. You have to start here. And you have to build it brick by brick. And you have to make sure that this foundation is solid. Nothing can break it. But it's going to take a lot of work. And people don't like a lot of work. They want their stuff in the microwave.
Patience.
They don't want to let it cook in the oven.
Right. I don't even put my food in the oven. I don't even put my food in the microwave. Sorry, I hate the microwave, truthfully.
Yeah.
I'm an oven person. I don't even want to warm it up in the air fryer. I want to put it in I may cook in the air fryer, but I want to warm it up to give it that, that sense of freshness. It's funny you said that because this generation, this time, this era of the way social media is, it has us looking outside of ourselves. Like, we're so far gone from ourselves that we're living through other people.
Right.
And not even living through us.
Right.
Now, some people say, oh, you try to live through your kids. I don't even like saying that. I don't want to live through my kids.
My kids have their own life.
Thank you.
They have to live I'm living my life. My kids have to live their own life. It would not be fair for me to say, do things this way and not allow them to do things their way. We've had multiple opportunities. We get to change. We get to shed our skin of the versions of us that don't matter, and we get to be these different people, just like our kids can. So I don't ever want to do that to my kids, but I want to always remind people that you get to change, that you get to be this new version of you.
Right.
That you get to be this new version of you. That to me is most important.
Right.
That's Crystal, the owner, by the way.
How you doing? She just walked in the building. Appreciate you. Jen, man, this opportunity has been a blessing. I could talk to you for hours.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because I'm a spiritual individual. I believe in manifestation. I believe words are powerful. I believe energy is powerful. I believe what you speak, what you say. Like I strive to stay away from the word try, because the try is to fail. If you're striving, it just keep more and more effort.
You got to do it.
You know what I mean?
You can't be trying. You got to do it.
I thank you so much for the opportunity to sit down with me on short notice.
Yeah.
When I say short, because I had the interview with my girl about a month or so, and here we are today. Yeah. But it was a blessing. I needed this. I want you to know that, this conversation for me also gave me more understanding about certain things. It was a learning process, listening. I hope everybody out there tunes into this episode. Please tap in with Jen. Listen, Jen, let them know where they can find you at, get in contact with you at your yoga sessions before we close it, please.
So my yoga sessions are every Saturday morning at 6:15 and 7:30 at the Red Room Studio in Clifton, New Jersey, 605 Van Houten Ave. Yoga is free. Come and get this healing. It is donation-based. You can donate whatever you want, whatever you can. If it's $1, if it's 50 cents, it doesn't matter. The reason yoga is free is because we need community to receive this medicine. And sometimes people can't afford it. So if you can't, just come. You can find me on Instagram, which is my major platform. It's at Jen, Jen _ The Spiritual Baddie, all spelled out. And Baddie is Baddie. And you can find me in the streets of Clifton. I be out here in the streets. Okay. But if you want to come to yoga, I promise you it's worth it. You will receive healing, and it is free. There's no reason, if you're not local, that you shouldn't be here. Honestly. And
it's men and women, please. Yes. It's not just a women thing.
Absolutely.
It's men and women.
I had a man here
today. I might tap in next week.
Yeah.
Seriously, I really might tap in because what I saw was amazing. Once again, this opportunity was a blessing. Me being spiritual, me growing, me maturing as to be a better man. Because I realized at the end of the day, we got to be better for ourselves before we can be better for our kids, right, our other halves, our friends. And it allows us to be better leaders too. You know who it is, the voice of the culture. It's Jen The Spiritual Baddie. We in the Red Room. We just came out of yoga. We will have the yoga posted during this episode. And you know what it is. It's your boy. Appreciate you, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you.
For the opportunity.
So nice talking to you.
All right. Love is love. We out of here. Peace. Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.